The unexpected delivery. The morning sun cast long shadows across the diplomatic landing pad of New Geneva Station when Commander Elena Vasquez received the transmission that would change her life forever. She stood at attention in her crisp blue uniform, watching the massive crystalline Empire transport ship descend through the artificial atmosphere dome. Its hull gleamed like polished diamond, refracting rainbow patterns across the metal deck plates that Elena had seen enough war to last several lifetimes. At 29, she carried herself with the confident bearing of someone who had faced death and emerged stronger. Her dark hair was pulled back in regulation style, revealing a face marked by determination and the kind of quiet strength that came from surviving humanity's first interstellar conflict. The war with the Crystalline Empire had ended 6 months ago, but the peace still felt fragile, like morning frost that might vanish with the first harsh word. Admiral Jean's voice crackled through her earpiece. Commander Vasquez, you're about to receive a very special diplomatic gift from the Crystalline Empire. Their High Counselor Vex insisted on personal delivery. This is crucial for maintaining the peace treaty. Elena frowned slightly. In her experience, anything described as very special usually meant complicated. She had been chosen for this assignment specifically because of her diplomatic training and her clean record with alien species. During the war, she had been one of the few human officers who had consistently tried to minimize civilian casualties on both sides. The transport ship settled onto the landing pad with barely a whisper. Its advanced technology making them massive. Vessel seemed to float rather than land. Crystalline architecture was a marvel of engineering, but it always made Elena slightly uncomfortable. Everything about their technology felt too perfect, too smooth, as if it had been grown rather than built. A section of the ship's hull simply dissolved, revealing an interior that glowed with soft, pearl-like light. High Counselor Vex emerged first, his tall, willowy frame moving with the fluid grace typical of his species. His skin had the translucent quality of fine crystal, and his large, multifaceted eyes reflected the light like prisms. He wore ceremonial robes that seemed to shift color with each step. Behind him walked two guards, their weapons clearly visible but not raised. And between them, Elena, single quotes, S breath caught in her throat. She was the most beautiful being Elena had ever seen. The alien princess stood nearly as tall as Elena herself, with skin that looked like it had been carved from the purest blue ice, so translucent that Elena could see the delicate network of silver veins beneath. Her hair fell in cascading waves of liquid silver, each strand catching and holding light like spun moonbeams. She wore flowing robes of deep purple that seemed to move with a life of their own, but it was her eyes that made Elena's heart skip a beat. Large and luminous, they were the color of deep ocean water, filled with intelligence and something else that made Elena's chest tighten with unexpected emotion. Those eyes held fear, not just nervousness or uncertainty, but deep primal terror. High Counselor Vex approached Elena with the formal stride of diplomatic protocol. When he spoke, his voice carried the musical quality common to his species, but the translation device rendered it in crisp, mechanical English. Commander Elena Vasquez of the Human Space Forces, the Crystalline Empire presents you with this gesture of goodwill and commitment to our lasting peace. He gestured toward the princess with a flourish. Princess Lyra Zephyra of the Third Crystal Throne. She is yours, Commander, a symbol of trust between our peoples. The words hit Elena like a physical blow. Yours, not assigned to work with you or here to establish diplomatic relations. Yours, as if the princess were property to be transferred. Elena looked at Princess Lyra and saw the way she trembled, her translucent skin seeming to flicker within her, light in what Elena was beginning to recognize as extreme distress. The princess kept her eyes fixed on the deck plating, her whole body rigid with the posture of someone expecting violence. I appreciate the gesture, High Counselor, Elena said. Carefully, but I'm not sure I understand the nature of this arrangement. Princess Lyra is obviously a person of importance in your empire. Surely she has duties and responsibilities that Princess Lyra's duty now is to serve as your companion. Vex interrupted smoothly. She has been prepared for this role and understands her obligations. The transport will deliver you both to your assigned quarters on Harmony Station, where you may become acquainted with each other's customs. The way he said become acquainted made Elena's skin crawl. There was something in his tone, something that suggested meanings she didn't want to contemplate. Princess Lyra flinched at his words, a visible shudder running through her entire body. For just a moment, she raised her eyes to look at Elena, and what Elena saw there nearly broke her heart. It was the look of someone facing execution. Elena felt anger building in her chest, but she forced herself to remain diplomatic. High Counselor, with respect, I think there may be some misunderstanding about human customs. We don't typically. The arrangements have been made, Vex said with finality. Princess Lyra has been informed of her new status. She will adapt. He turned to leave, then paused. Commander Vasquez, I trust you will find her ... satisfactory. Our species may be different, but certain biological imperatives remain universal. The implications of his words sent ice through Elena's veins. As the Crystalline Empire delegation departed, Elena was left alone on the landing pad with Princess Lyra, who stood motionless except for the barely perceptible trembling that seemed to affect her entire being. Elena approached slowly, the way she might approach a wounded animal. Princess Lyra, my name is Elena. Can you understand me? The princess's head jerked up, and Elena saw panic flash in those ocean-deep eyes. Please, she whispered, her voice carrying a melodic quality even through the universal translator. I will try to be worthy. I know what you expect of me. I don't expect anything, Elena said gently. I just want to make sure you're comfortable. Are you hurt? Do you need medical attention? Confusion flickered across the princess's delicate features. You ... You are not going to claim me immediately. I was told that humans were impatient in such matters. Elena felt her heart sink even further. Claim you? Princess, I think there's been a serious misunderstanding. I'm not going to claim you, or whatever you've been told is going to happen. You're safe. Princess Lyra's trembling intensified. But the ceremony, the consumption, I was prepared for this. My people told me that human males devour their mates during the bonding ritual, that it is how your species shows dominance and affection. The words hit Elena like a plasma blast. Devour, consumption. They thought humans were literal. Cannibals who ate their romantic partners. No wonder the princess was terrified. Elena took a step back, raising her hands in a gesture of peace. Princess? Lyra, that's not true. That's not what humans do. We don't hurt the people we care about. We protect them. But the reports from our scouts, the intercepted communications about human appetites and consuming desire. Princess Lyra's voice trailed off, confusion replacing some of the terror in her eyes. Elena realized what had happened. Metaphorical language about passion and desire had been translated literally by alien intelligence gatherers who had no context for human expressions. Her people had been branded as monsters based on linguistic misunderstanding. Those are just expressions, Elena explained gently. When humans talk about consuming desire or having an appetite for someone, we're speaking metaphorically. We don't actually consume anything except food. Our mating rituals involve mutual pleasure and respect. Princess Lyra stared at her for a long moment, those luminous eyes searching Elena's face for deception. You ... You truly do not intend to devour me? I would never hurt you, Elena said with absolute sincerity. Never. I give you my word as a human being and as an officer. Some of the rigid tension left the princess's posture, though she still looked ready to flee at the first sudden movement. Then ... What do you intend? Elena considered the question carefully. What did she intend? She had been given responsibility for this beautiful, terrified being who had been handed over like a diplomatic package. The situation was unprecedented and morally complex. I intend to make sure you're safe and comfortable, Elena said finally. I intend to learn about your culture and help you understand mine. And I intend to figure out how to get you home if that's what you want. Princess Lyra's eyes widened. Home, but I was told this was permanent, that I was given to you as your mate. Elena felt her jaw clench with renewed anger at whoever had orchestrated this situation. Princess, no one can give another person away like that. You have the right to choose your own path, your own companions. That's a fundamental human belief. Choose? The word seemed foreign on her lips. Females ... choose. Of course. Both. Partners choose each other, or there's no relationship at all. Princess Lyra was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. When she spoke again, her voice was smaller, more vulnerable. In my culture, females are selected for males, based on political necessity and biological compatibility. Love is ... not a consideration. Elena's heart ached for this beautiful being who had never been allowed to choose anything for herself. Well, you're not in your culture anymore. Here, with me, you get to choose everything. What you eat, where you sleep, how you spend your time, and most importantly, who you want to be with. The transport to Harmony Station was waiting, its human crew maintaining respectful distance. Elena gestured toward it gently. Would you like to see your quarters? You'll have your own private space, your own things. No one will bother you or make any demands. Princess Lyra looked at the transport, then back at Elena. Something had shifted in her expression. A tiny crack in the wall of terror she had built around herself. You promise I will be safe. I promise, Elena said, and meant it with every fiber of her being. As they walked toward the transport together, Elena couldn't help but notice the way Princess Lyra moved with unconscious grace, like flowing water given form. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Elena was determined to prove that humanity was capable of more than the princess had been led to believe. The real test would be showing her that love could exist without fear, that strength could be gentle, and that two very different beings could find understanding across the vast distances between stars. Building trust and understanding, the quarters aboard Harmony Station were spacious by military standards. But Elena could see how they might feel confining to someone accustomed to crystal palaces. Princess Lyra stood in the center of the main living area, turning slowly to take in the stark metal walls and functional furniture. Her translucent skin seemed to dim in the artificial lighting, and Elena made a mental note to adjust the illumination to something more comfortable. Elena had spent the 3-day journey from New Geneva, carefully observing the princess, learning her patterns and reactions. Lyra preferred the corners of rooms, always positioning herself where she could see all exits. She ate very little, and only after watching Elena take the first bite of everything. Most telling of all, she never fully relaxed, even in sleep. Elena had checked on her the first night and found her curled in the smallest possible space, as if trying to make herself invisible. This will be your private room, Elena said, opening the door to the smaller chamber. She had spent hours rearranging it, adding soft fabrics and removing anything that might seem threatening. There's a lock on the inside that only you can control. No one can enter without your permission. Princess Lyra examined the door mechanism with obvious surprise. You cannot enter? Even me, your privacy is yours to control. The concept seemed to fascinate and perplex her in equal measure. During their conversations over the past few days, Elena had begun to understand just how different their cultures were. In the Crystalline Empire, females had virtually no personal autonomy. They were treasured and protected, but like precious objects rather than independent beings. Elena had established a routine designed to build trust gradually. Each morning, she would prepare breakfast and eat first, demonstrating that the food was safe. She would then sit across the room while Lyra ate, maintaining distance but availability. Afternoons were spent sharing stories about their respective worlds, with Elena doing most of the talking while Lyra listened with growing fascination. Tell me more about human families, Princess Lyra said on the 4th day, settling into what Elena had learned was her preferred spot in the corner of the couch. She had progressed from sitting on the floor to actually using furniture, which Elena considered a significant victory. Elena smiled, curling up in her own chair with a cup of coffee. Well, human families come in all different forms. Some people are born into families, others choose their families. Some families are small, just two people who love each other. Others are huge, with dozens of relatives. And the females participate. In decision making? Absolutely. In most human cultures, both partners contribute equally to decisions about their lives together. Princess Lyra was quiet for a moment, her luminous eyes reflecting the soft light Elena had programmed to mimic her homeworld spectrum. What about children? Who decides when and how many? Both parents, together. Some couples want many children. Others want none at all. Some can't have children biologically, but choose to adopt youngsters who need families. Adopt? Elena explained the concept of adoption, watching as wonder and confusion played across the princess's delicate features. In crystalline culture, children belong to their birth families absolutely, with no possibility of change or choice. Your people sound very fluid, Princess Lyra said finally. Everything can change, everyone can choose. It must be chaotic, Elena laughed. Sometimes it is. But we think the chaos is worth it for the freedom. Their conversations revealed more differences each day. Crystalline society was rigidly structured, with every individual's role determined by birth and biological characteristics. Art was functional, music was ceremonial, and literature was instructional. The concept of creating something purely for beauty or joy was alien to them. Elena had started playing human music during their meals, selecting pieces carefully for their emotional impact. She watched Princess Lyra's reactions, noting how her skin would shimmer in response to certain melodies, how her breathing would change with different rhythms. What is the purpose of this sound pattern? Princess Lyra asked during dinner on the 5th day, as Elena played a gentle piano piece. It's just beautiful, Elena said. It makes people feel things. Peace, joy, sadness, excitement. This particular piece is meant to be calming. You create sounds purely to generate emotions. Music is one of humanity's greatest art forms. We believe that feeling things deeply makes life richer. Princess Lyra tilted her head. A gesture Elena had learned indicated deep thought. In my culture, strong emotions are considered dangerous. They lead to poor decisions and social instability. Elena set down her fork, studying the princess's face. But what about happiness, joy, love? Those are strong emotions too. Love is... Princess Lyra paused, seeming to search for words. Love is duty fulfilled. When two beings perform their biological and social roles correctly, love is the natural result. Elena felt her heart clench with sympathy. That's not love, princess. That's just ... functioning. Love is when you choose to care about someone so much that their happiness becomes more important than your own. The princess stared at her with those ocean-deep eyes. You speak of love as if it were a choice. It is a choice. The most important choice anyone can make. That night, Elena was awakened by a sound she couldn't immediately identify. She lay still, listening, until she realized it was crying. Soft, musical sobs coming from Princess Lyra's room. Elena approached the door quietly, pressing her ear against the metal. Princess, are you all right? The crying stopped abruptly. I am ... functional, Commander. Elena's heart broke a little at the formal response. Lyra, it's okay to not be functional sometimes. It's okay to feel sad or scared or confused. Silence stretched between them, separated by the door and years of different cultural conditioning. May I speak freely? Came the whispered question. Always. You never need permission to speak your mind with me. Elena heard movement, then Princess Lyra's voice came from right against the door. I am confused about many things. About your kindness, about your customs, about ... about you. Elena leaned against the door herself, imagining she could feel the princess's presence on the other side. What confuses you about me? You are not what I was told humans were like. You are gentle. You smell like starlight and growing things. When you laugh, it makes my chest feel strange. And when you look at me, I do not feel fear anymore. Elena's pulse quickened. What do you feel? I didn't have words for it in my language. And yours perhaps warm, safe. Something that makes me want to be closer instead of farther away. Elena closed her eyes, fighting against the growing attraction she felt for this beautiful, innocent being. She had to be careful. Princess Lyra was vulnerable, alone, dependent on Elena's protection. Taking advantage of that trust would make Elena no better than those who had given Lyra away like property. Princess, what you're feeling is normal. When people spend time together and get to know each other, sometimes they develop affection. Affection. Princess Lyra repeated the word like it was precious. Is this what leads to the love choice you spoke of? Elena's breath caught. Sometimes. If both people feel it, and both people choose it freely. Elena? The use of her first name sent warmth spreading through Elena's chest. If if I were to choose, hypothetically, to explore this affection feeling, would you be willing to? Teach me? Elena pressed her forehead against the cool metal of the door. Lyra, I would be honored to teach you anything you want to learn. But I need you to be sure. I need you to know that you have the right to change your mind at any time. For any reason, and you would respect that choice? Absolutely. Elena heard the soft sound of the door lock disengaging. Slowly, the door slid open, revealing Princess Lyra in a simple sleeping gown that made her look younger and more vulnerable than ever. Her silver hair was unbound, falling around her shoulders like liquid moonlight. I would like to try being closer, she said simply. Elena's heart hammered against her ribs as she stepped back to give the princess space to enter the main living area. We can start small, maybe just sitting together. Princess Lyra nodded, moving to the couch but hesitating before sitting. Down, Elena settled on the opposite end, leaving plenty of space between them. In human courting, Elena said carefully, people usually start by spending time together, learning about each other's interests. They might hold hands or share meals or watch entertainment together. Courting, princess, Lyra said, testing the word. This is the process of choosing a mate? It's the process of deciding if you want to choose a mate. Sometimes people court for months or years before making that decision. Sometimes they decide they're better as friends. Princess Lyra was quiet for a moment. And during this courting, both parties have equal say in the progression. Equal say, equal right to stop at any time, equal responsibility for the choices made. Elena watched as Princess Lyra processed this information, her translucent skin shimmering with what Elena was learning to recognize as intense thought. I would like to attempt this courting process, Princess Lyra said finally. With you, if you are willing. Elena felt her world shift on its axis. Lyra, I need you to understand something. If we pursue this, there will be complications. Your people, my people, they have expectations about why you're here. I do not care what they expect. For the first time in my life, I want to make a choice based on what I feel, not what others have decided for me. Elena looked into those luminous eyes and saw determination replacing fear, strength replacing submission. This was not the terrified princess who had been delivered to her a week ago. This was a woman coming into her own power. Then yes, Elena said softly. I would be honored to court you, Princess Lyra Zephyra. Princess Lyra's face lit up with the first genuine smile Elena had seen from her, and the sight of it was more beautiful than all the crystal palaces in the galaxy. Just Lyra, she said, sliding a little closer on the couch. If we are to be equals in this courting, you should call me just Lyra. Elena smiled back, feeling hope bloom in her chest like a flower turning toward the sun. Hello, Lyra. I'm Elena. Would you like me to tell you about human music? I think you might enjoy learning to dance. As Lyra's laugh filled the room like silver bells, Elena realized that what had started as a diplomatic assignment was becoming something far more precious and dangerous. She was falling in love with an alien princess, and from the growing warmth in Lyra's eyes, the feeling might just be mutual. The real test would come when the outside world demanded answers they weren't ready to give. Love conquers all three. Weeks into their courtship, Elena woke to find Lyra curled against her side. Silver hair spilled across Elena's shoulder like liquid starlight. They had progressed slowly, carefully, from sitting together to holding hands to sharing the same bed for warmth and comfort. Elena had been patient, letting Lyra set the pace, marveling at how someone so sheltered could be so brave in exploring new forms of intimacy. Lyra stirred as Elena shifted, those ocean-deep eyes opening with this soft luminescence that indicated contentment. In the past week, Elena had learned to read the subtle changes in Lyra's bioluminescence like a language all its own. Fear made her dim, happiness made her glow, and when she looked at Elena with love, her entire being seemed to shimmer with inner fire. "Good morning, beautiful," Elena whispered, pressing a gentle kiss to Lyra's forehead. Lyra's skin brightened with pleasure. "I still cannot believe that word applies to me in your eyes. You're the most beautiful being in the galaxy," Elena said, meaning every word. Their peaceful morning was shattered by the sharp chime of an incoming transmission. Elena reluctantly extracted herself from Lyra's embrace and activated the communications console. High Counselor Vex's familiar crystalline features appeared in the hologram, his expression more severe than usual. "Commander Vasquez, I trust Princess. Lyra has been satisfactory in her duties." Elena felt Lyra tense behind her. "Princess Lyra has been an excellent cultural ambassador," Elena said carefully. "Excellent. Then you will have no objection to her return to the Empire. New circumstances require her presence at court." Elena's blood turned to ice. "Return?" "High Counselor, that wasn't part of our agreement. The princess was given to you for a specific purpose. That purpose has been fulfilled. She will be collected in 72 hours and prepared for a more appropriate union with High Prince Kohler of the Fifth Crystal Throne." Elena heard Lyra make a small pain sound behind her. "High Counselor, with respect, Princess Lyra might have her own preferences about her future." Vex's multifaceted eyes reflected no emotion. "The princess's preferences are irrelevant. She has duties to her people that supersede personal desires. The union with Prince Kohler will solidify important political alliances." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Elena staring at the blank screen. She turned to find Lyra sitting on the edge of the bed, her skin dim with despair. "Lyra, I knew this would happen," Lyra said quietly. "I allowed myself to hope, but I knew." Elena knelt in front of her, taking Lyra's hands in her own. "We don't have to accept this. You have the right to choose your own path." "Do I?" Lyra's voice was barely above a whisper. "What choice do I really have? If I refuse, it will destabilize the peace between our peoples. How many lives is my happiness worth?" Elena cupped Lyra's face gently, forcing her to meet her eyes. "Your happiness is worth everything. And I won't let them take you against your will. What can you do against the combined power of both our governments?" Elena's mind was already racing, formulating plans with the tactical precision that had made her a successful military commander. "There are neutral territories beyond both our jurisdictions. Independent colonies that don't answer to either government. You would give up everything? Your career, your world, your people? For you? In a heartbeat?" Lyra's skin began to glow with emotion. "Elena, I love you. But I cannot ask you to sacrifice so much. You're not asking. I'm choosing. Just like you get to choose whether you want to come with me or fulfill your duty to your people." Lyra was quiet for a long moment, her bioluminescence cycling through different patterns as she processed the decision. Finally, she looked up at Elena with determination shining in her eyes. "I choose love. I choose you. I choose freedom." Elena felt her heart soar even as her mind shifted into mission planning mode. "Then we need to move fast. I have friends who owe me favors, and there's a cargo transport leaving for the frontier sectors in 18 hours. The next 17 hours were a blur of careful preparation and growing tension. Elena contacted Captain Rex Torres, an old friend from her military days who now ran independent freight routes. She transferred their few belongings to storage containers that could be loaded discreetly onto his ship. Most importantly, she began the process of accessing her emergency funds and creating new identities for both of them. Lyra surprised Elena with her own resourcefulness. Despite her sheltered upbringing, she had absorbed considerable knowledge about interstellar politics and law during her diplomatic training. She helped Elena identify the legal loopholes they could use to establish residency in neutral space. There's something you should know, Lyra said as they made their final preparations. In my species, when we mate truly, it creates a biological bond. Our life forces become connected. Elena paused in her packing. What kind of connection? We would share emotions, physical sensations to some degree. If one of us were seriously injured, the other would feel it. If one died, Lyra's voice trailed off. Elena turned to face her fully. Are you asking if I want that kind of bond? I am asking if you're prepared for it. Because if we are intimate, if we complete our connection, the bond will form automatically. It cannot be undone. Elena considered this carefully. A biological bond that would tie her to Lyra for life, making them literally inseparable in ways that went beyond emotional attachment. Would you feel trapped by it? Elena asked. No. In my culture, bonding is sacred. It is the deepest expression of trust and commitment possible, but humans do not have such bonds. I do not know how it would affect you. Elena stepped closer, taking Lyra's hands in her own. Lyra, I've been bonded to you since the moment I saw you trembling with fear and decided I would do anything to protect you. A biological connection won't change what I already feel. Lyra's skin blazed with joy. Then, when we reach our new home, we will complete what we have started. Their departure was scheduled for 0300 station time, when traffic was minimal, and security was focused on incoming rather than outgoing vessels. Elena had chosen their route carefully, using service corridors and maintenance shafts she had memorized during their stay. They made it to within 50 meters of the docking bay before the alarm started blaring. Security alert. Princess Lyra Zafira and Commander Elena Vasquez are to be detained immediately. All personnel report to emergency stations. Elena cursed under her breath. Someone had discovered their plan earlier than expected. This way, she said, pulling Lyra toward an alternate route she had scouted as a backup. They could hear security teams mobilizing throughout the station, boots pounding on metal decking as guards rushed to seal all exits. They reached the docking bay to find Captain Torres already prepping his ship for emergency departure. Elena, thank the stars you made it. We've got maybe 2 minutes before they lock down all traffic. Elena and Lyra ran up the cargo ramp just as the first security teams appeared at the far end of the bay. Torres had the ship moving before the ramp fully closed, accelerating toward the exit with the kind of reckless skill that had made him legendary in the Outer Rim. Unknown vessel, you are ordered to halt immediately and prepare for boarding, came the voice from station control. Torres grinned at Elena over his shoulder. Hold on to something. This is going to get interesting. What followed was the most terrifying and exhilarating chase of Elena's life. Torres pushed his ship to its limits, weaving between larger vessels and using the station's own superstructure to break sensor locks. Behind them, both human and crystalline pursuit ships scrambled to intercept. Elena held Lyra close as the ship bucked and rolled through evasive maneuvers. She could feel Lyra's fear, but also her determination. Through their growing emotional connection, Elena sensed that Lyra had no regrets about their choice. Jump. Coordinates locked in. Torres called out, entering hyperspace in 10 seconds. The pursuing ships were closing fast, weapons charging for disabling shots. Elena watched the tactical display as the distance narrowed to critical levels. 5 seconds, Torres announced. A plasma blast scorched past their starboard hull, close enough to trigger radiation alarms. 3.2.1. Jumping. The stars elongated into lines of light as Torres' ship leaped into hyperspace, leaving their pursuers behind in normal space. Elena finally allowed herself to breathe again. Well, that was exciting, Torres said cheerfully. You too, certainly? Know how to make an exit? Lyra looked up at Elena with wonder shining in her luminous eyes. We did it. We actually escaped. Together, Elena said, pressing a kiss to Lyra's forehead. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Their destination was New Harmony, a frontier colony world beyond the reach of both major powers. It was a place where people went to start over, to build new lives free from the constraints of their old worlds. The journey would take 6 days, through hyperspace, giving them time to plan their future. On the third night of the journey, as Torres slept in the pilot's compartment, Elena and Lyra made love for the first time. It was gentle, reverent, and utterly transformative. As their bodies joined, Elena felt the biological bond Lyra had described snap into place, like a circuit completing. The sensation was indescribable. Elena could feel Lyra's emotions as if they were her own, could sense the alien woman's joy, and love flowing through their connection like liquid starlight. In return, Lyra gasped as Elena's protective devotion and fierce love surrounded her like armor. I can feel you, Lyra whispered in wonder, her skin blazing with bioluminescent patterns Elena had never seen before. Your heart, your soul, everything. You are, and I can feel you, Elena replied, amazed by the depth of connection. You're part of me now, Lyra, forever. They lay entwined in the aftermath, exploring their new bond. Elena discovered she could sense Lyra's physical state, her emotions, even her thoughts when they were particularly strong. It was intimate beyond anything she had ever experienced. Do you regret it? Lyra asked, softly. Elena considered the question seriously. She had just bound herself permanently to an alien being, cut herself off from her old life, and committed to an uncertain future on a frontier world. By any rational measure, it was the most impulsive decision of her life. No, she said firmly. This is the first time I've ever felt complete. New Harmony lived up to its name. The colony was a sprawling collection of settlements connected by maglev transit lines, built around the principle that beings of all species could coexist peacefully. Humans worked alongside crystalline refugees, Arcturian traders, and dozens of other species Elena had never encountered. Captain Torres helped them establish their new identities and find a small dwelling on the outskirts of the main settlement. It wasn't much, just a basic habitat dome with room for expansion, but it was theirs. What do you think? Elena asked as they stood in their new home, watching the alien sunset paint the sky in shades of purple and gold. Lyra smiled, her bioluminescence reflecting the colors of their new world. I think it's perfect. It's the first place that's ever truly been mine. Ours? Elena corrected gently. Ours, Lyra agreed, moving into Elena's arms. They built their life slowly, carefully. Elena found work as a security consultant, using her military experience to help protect merchant convoys traveling through dangerous space. Lyra discovered a talent for xenobotany, helping to develop crops that could grow in New Harmony's unique soil conditions. More importantly, they learned to navigate their bond. Elena found that Lyra's emotions added depth and richness to her own experiences, while Lyra drew strength from Elena's confidence and determination. They were stronger together than either had been alone. 6 months after their arrival, they received an unexpected visitor. Admiral Tune appeared on their doorstep. One morning, looking older and more tired than Elena remembered. Admiral, Elena said, instinctively stepping in front of Lyra. What brings you to New Harmony? May I come in? Chun asked. I think you'll want to hear what I have to say. Reluctantly, Elena allowed him into their home. Lyra remained close, to Elena's side, her skin dim with apprehension. I won't pretend that your departure didn't cause problems, Chun said without preamble. Both governments were furious. There were threats, accusations, demands for extradition, and Elena asked tensely. Chun smiled slightly, and then something interesting happened. Other mixed couples started coming forward. Apparently, you two weren't the only ones who had found love across species lines. Your escape gave others the courage to speak up. Elena felt Lyra's surprise through their bond. Others? Dozens of them. Human crystalline pairs, mostly, but also other species combinations. It seems that interspecies attraction is more common than anyone realized. Admiral Chain reached into his briefcase and pulled out an official document. Which brings me to why I'm here. Both governments have agreed to establish a new diplomatic protocol for interspecies relationships. Voluntary bonding with legal protections for couples who choose to live in neutral territory. Elena stared at the document. You're offering U.S. Embassy. More than that. We're offering you a job. As the first officially recognized interspecies couple, your insights could help establish guidelines for others. You could help write the policies that protect couples like yourselves. Elena looked at Lyra, feeling her hope and excitement through their bond. What do you think? Lyra took the document, reading it carefully with the diplomatic training she had never expected to use. It's legitimate, she said finally, and it could help others who are in the position we were in. Elena felt a surge of pride for her bonded mate. Even now, Lyra's first thought was for others who might need help. We'll do it, Elena said, but we stay here on New Harmony. This is our home now, Admiral Chen nodded. I wouldn't expect anything else. Welcome back to the diplomatic service, Commander. And Princess, welcome to the team. As Chun left, Elena and Lyra stood together on their small porch, watching the binary sun set over their new world. In the distance, they could see the lights of the growing settlement, filled with beings from across the galaxy who had chosen to build something new together. Do you ever regret it? Elena asked, echoing Lyra's question from months ago. Lyra's skin blazed with happiness as she pulled Elena closer. Never. You taught me that love is a choice, and I choose you every day. Every day, Elena agreed, feeling their bond pulse with shared joy and commitment. Above them, the stars began to emerge in the alien sky, each point of light representing countless worlds, countless possibilities. But Elena and Lyra had found their place in the universe, together. Their love had become more than just a personal victory. It had become a symbol of what was possible when fear gave way to understanding, when duty gave way to choice, and when two hearts decided that the space between worlds was not too vast for love to cross. In the years that followed, their story would inspire others to make the same brave choice. Their children, the first generation of truly interspecies offspring, would grow up in a galaxy where love knew no boundaries between stars. But for now, in this moment, they were simply Elena and Lyra, two beings who had found in each other everything they had never known they were looking for. And in the warm glow of their bond, surrounded by the promise of their new world, that was more than enough.